Curious George, Tadpole Trouble. George was exploring a lake with his friend Bill. George was a good explorer and always very curious. He was especially curious about tadpoles. Bill told George he could be in charge of the tadpoles they found. George took tadpole watching very seriously. He watched them swim in their glass bowl. He fed them boiled lettuce. He took them for a swim in the lake. At the time, it seemed like good exercise for the tadpoles. When the tadpoles did not come back, George started to worry. What would Bill say? He had to find them. George spent hours at the lake. He found turtles and water beetles and minnows, but no tadpoles. Every time George would visit the lake, he would look for the tadpoles. Several weeks went by. That's quite a while. Finally, he found something that looked like a tadpole, but it had legs and almost no tail. George let it go. A few weeks later, George took a walk in the city to think about his tadpole problem. He was going back to the lake soon. Bill would be very disappointed if George had lost the tadpoles. George walked so long he found himself in front of the museum. He saw a butterfly that reminded him of being at the lake, so he followed it. The butterfly flew into the museum and George kept following, past all kinds of exhibits. There was a special display about creatures that live around lakes. George knew about many of them, like turtles, minnows, lizards, and the tadpoles. The picture of the baby tadpole reminded him of his own tadpoles. Next to it was one of the funny creatures George had seen in the lake. It had legs and a smaller tail. Now he understood. The creatures with legs were tadpoles too. His friends had not vanished. They were just changing and growing up. George was so excited he left the museum without finishing the exhibit. So do you see here? First, the frog lays its eggs. And then this is the part George had when he was taking care of the tadpoles. They looked like this. And then that's what he found a little while later. The little tadpole and the little tail. He has legs and the little tail. As soon as George got back to the lake, he looked for his missing friends, especially the ones with the little legs and almost no tails. But they were not there either. This time, George could only find, what did he find? Frogs! Lots and lots of frogs! What a good idea, George, Bill said, seeing the empty jar. You decided to release the tadpoles into their natural habitat home so we could watch them grow into frogs. You're not only curious, you're smart too. All the baby tadpoles grew up to be frogs. Let's take a picture of you and the frogs together, George. Smile! So let's see what comes first, second, third, and last. Ready? First, you have the frog eggs. Then you have the tadpoles. Then you have the tadpoles with the little legs and tail. And then they grow up to be frogs.